Sorry, we just...
We didn't know what we were talking about.
go.
Let's just get this straight off the bat. I'm coming to talk about something else, but these two robbed me of an NTA a few weeks ago, and Holly Willoughby was just feeling sorry for me.
Well, I was a bit, actually.
I said, you know, I had everything ready, the speeches of this, and she went, oh, no. And she gave that little face she does, that little diner.
I know, but I do feel a little bit sorry for you.
They're here, aren't they?
Only because you made such a big deal.
Never mind
I don't know which one you're going to choose, Piers, actually.
Yeah, you can
that
pick,
might be...
This is ours.
pick any one.
I am reclaiming this for Good Morning Britain. This was stolen property and has been reclaimed.
Well, if it makes you feel better, you have to steal one rather than win one, then you
know what? Congratulations.
Oh, I felt that.
I'm just going to leave him with that shot there. Let's get a shot of his face. There
Oh,
we go.
Piers.
Oh, there
I'm a bad
he is.
loser. What can I say? I hate losing.
Well, anyway.
And you know the worst thing of all, was just at my lowest moment when we really thought we'd won this damn thing, and we'd exchanged little preliminaries, and we like all a little bit edgy. And then I heard that little kid they have on stage go, "Morning, the winner is morning." I went, "Oh," and this morning. And then as you two walked down, I get up. I better try and pretend, you know, well done. And you, like Don Corleone, he kissed me on my head. Take that, you little.
I did not.
Yeah, don't be confused by their halos. Trust me.
Anyway, welcome.
I know these people.
To our NTA award-winning show.
I've got to be sure. Well done.
Thank
you.
I couldn't be less happy for you.
Well, listen, maybe looks like such a good show. Maybe you'll win an NTA for this, because we're not in that category. So seriously, this is chilling and absolutely fascinating. It's Confessions of a Serial Killer. Piers has been on a mission to find it out for his latest documentary. What is it that makes a killer? Here's what happened when he came face to face with one of the most dangerous men on the planet.
What was your criteria for a victim?
Access.
To any woman?
Yes, sir.
Did it matter how old they were or what they looked like? Or?
Generally speaking, no.
But could literally have been any woman that happened to stray into your orbit?
Yes, sir.
When you were cruising in your car and they were thumbing a lift?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that made you at the time an unbelievably dangerous man for any young woman.
Yes, sir. See, I'm not defending the position. I'm describing the position. It was what I was and where I was at.
So, Piers, what made him different from anyone else that you've interviewed before is that right from the get-go, he admitted that to all of these killings.
Yeah, I mean, he's the fourth of the serial killer shows I've done, and the first three, although clearly guilty, spent the entire time trying to persuade me that they'd been fitted up by the police and it was a miscarriage of justice and so on. So all you're doing all the time is playing a cat-and-mouse game of interrogation, trying to lure out of them enough inconsistencies where the viewer can go, well, they're obviously lying. This guy, literally from the start, I said 5 young women were kidnapped and shot dead, and I've got to put it to you, did you do this? And he just said, yes, sir, I did.
Wow. Straight
from the top. So then you immediately know you're dealing with somebody who's not only one of America's most notorious serial killers, but is also somebody unashamedly going to tell you all about what he did and why he did it. And, you know, people say to me, what do you do these shows for? Is it just gratuitous, you know, whatever? And I say, if you actually met, as I have done, the families of the victims, they never get over this. And they never understand why it happened. And in his case, because he pleaded guilty, he never had to be cross-examined, he never had to explain himself. And do I really get answers out of him? I mean, if I was one of the family members, I'm not sure I'd do to their satisfaction, but it was certainly very chilling.
So he's Bernard Giles. You look at his background, very ordinary family, no great issues there. Did you get any indication of anything that might have set something alight in his head?
That's what's so really chilling about him, actually. No criminal record, no upbringing of any abuse or any problems with his family. His 3 siblings have all gone on to be very normal, well-adjusted, successful people. One works at Disney, for example, as an engineer. No trouble with parents, no trouble with anything, with the law or anything. He was just happily married to a young woman, very beautiful. He had a young baby daughter, 5 months old, and then suddenly he decides to go on this rampage of killing 5 women in 3 months. But he takes it back to when he was 6 years old and playing a game of witch hunt with a young female neighbour. And he chased her into a back bedroom and pinned her down. And he said he got sexually turned on by her terror. And from that moment, he said, I knew one day I would have to kill women. And when he said that, I mean, just as a parent, you're like, well, as a human being, frankly, you're just so horrified. And yet he said it in such a matter-of-fact way, as you see there, that it was all a very uncomfortable experience with somebody I knew was just incredibly dangerous.
Do you shake his hand at the end once you've sat opposite someone?
Well, that's the difficult thing, isn't it? You do at the start.
I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, you do at the start. I can't remember in his case. I mean, you're very aware, actually, of you don't want to be seen to be in any way sort of going along with this person. But, you know, you've got to be professional as an interviewer, and I think I interviewed a lot of bad people over the years, a lot of killers. I tend to be as polite as I can be. But he was the one, when I went back to my hotel room, I think it was in Florida, I went back to my hotel room, I shut the door, I sat down, I poured myself a drink, and I really did sit there for quite a while feeling just emotionally drained, actually.
Yeah.
So no remorse whatsoever,
No.
Very little emotion. We've got another clip here, and this is when you mentioned that he had his very lovely wife and his 18-month-old daughter. Obviously, when he left the door that day, never saw them again.
Yeah.
And you showed them a photo, and here's that clip.
We had a picture there.
Yep.
What do you feel when you see your daughter?
I don't know exactly.
When you look at your own daughter, that age, smiling, innocent, happy, what do you feel about the young woman you killed?
I don't put those together.
Again, it's so matter-of-fact, isn't it?
His delivery was just like that the whole time, and he was saying these extraordinary things. I mean, he said he never raised any red flags that you could point to where you could try to stop someone like him. You just have to hope and pray.
If he was released, he'd kill again.
No question, I think. I don't think I don't think people like him ever get rehabilitated. I mean, probably the most chilling part of the whole thing, actually, he talked about a moment when he was 16, 2 years before all the killings. And he spared 3 other women who he kidnapped because they embraced him in conversation and humanised themselves. So it would have been 8. But when he was 16 and hadn't killed, but had this urge all the time from when he'd been a kid, he passed a woman in the street and he had a knife on him. And she opened her car door and got out. And he said he felt this uncontrollable urge to kill her. And he kept walking. And I said, well, what would have happened if you hadn't kept walking? And he just, matter of fact, she would have been murdered.
So
that woman,
she'll never know how
that
close
woman, whoever she is, will have had no idea how close she came to being killed by this monster.
And there were times when he was talking about that he didn't necessarily remember names of those that he'd murdered, but he could remember the emotion that he felt as he killed them.
And he could remember exactly what they all looked like. He just couldn't remember their names. He objectified women, as he put it, in a way that he didn't want to know who they were. He didn't want to know anything about their backgrounds because that humanised them. I thought it was fascinating that he spared these women who talked to him, who perhaps sensing the danger tried to engage him in conversation, and that made them no longer just objects, but human beings. I said to him, why didn't you kill your wife, for example? He said, because I knew her. I never killed anybody I knew. But all of this, he was saying as if this was perfectly normal stuff. And yet for me and for you guys to watch it, you'll just be horror-struck about the appalling amount of damage he's caused to so many people.
Well, the victims were, and sometimes it's important to name these people. He can't remember their names, but Paula Hamrick, 22-year-old mother of 2, Nancy Jerry, who was 18, Carolyn Bennett, who was 17, Sharon Wimmer, who was 14, Krista Melton, who was 14. And so, for as far as your series is concerned, I mean, I'm assuming that this is the first time you've seen someone who actually has absolutely no remorse and admitted to what they did.
Yeah, and it was the first time I really felt. I mean, I've interviewed lots of dangerous people and people you certainly wouldn't want to come across in a street, but this guy, he was almost like Hannibal Lecter in the sense of highly intelligent. Clearly, he was able to be perfectly charming on a certain level. You didn't know what he'd done, as many of them are, the serial killers. It's how they lure so many people into their thing. But by the end of it, I really felt I'd been in the presence of an exceptionally dangerous and twisted person. Yeah.
Confessions of a Serial Killer is Thursday at 9 on ITV. And thank you
Piers.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
And
you very
congratulations again.
Thank you.